What up brothers, it's Clip King returning for what I hope is a really quick video. It's just going to be a loose comparison between the Ironman Mk42 and the Mk43. It is pretty much just a repainted figure. Both are awesome figures in their own right, but I just wanted to show you. I'm not going to try and say which is best, but what I'm going to try and show is what you get for your money, and also to sort of consider what that money is buying. So what do you get with one compared to the other, and so on and so forth. Just like I said, a bit of fun. I'm not disrespecting anybody's figures, depending on which one you have in the collection, but I just want to put my points across, because if I don't, then I know I'll get asked it anyway. So I'm going to try and do it the best way I can, just basically show what's out there. So let's make a quick introduction. This is my own Mk42 from Iron Man 3. It is a die-cast one, obviously. Most of you will know it, and there is a review on my channel that you can go and check out. This one's the Mk43 that's been kindly lent to me by Carl Jung. Just done a recent review on that. I didn't want to put the comparison within the review because it had just made it like a 2-hour video. So again, really nice figure, and is the latest release and comes from the Age of Ultron, Avengers 2. So both really good looking figures. A lot in common, slight improvements on the 43 because it's the newer one in terms of articulation more than anything, but we'll talk about that shortly. What I want to try and do is get them stood side by side with a way that I can move up and down them and compare each section, so to speak. Right, so we'll start off with straight up appearance, the differences and the similarities. And you see, should have enough width now to cover them both in the same shot. So let's start at the top. As you can see, both pretty much use the same helmet shape. I would think it's a total recast, just a recast of the same head. Different in ways of paint schemes, but I will show all that, the various heads that both figures bring. But colour wise, it is pretty much just a red helmet shape, and it is the same red with the gold face plate. I will say at this point, and I'll show you, the 42 at the moment is proper clean, pristine, straight off at production line. Not even so much as scuff marks, no signs of any battle damage. Where the 43, if you look on the helmet, it's showing battle damage, on the cheek battle damage, moving down the upper arms, battle damage on the chest slightly, moving down. So even at its cleanest, the 43 is still a worn suit, so to speak. It's not fresh off the line, like I've said. Moving down onto his boot, see the silver scuff marks. So yeah, bear that in mind, because I will come back to talk about battle damage a little bit later. But going back to what I said, so as you see, the mask, like for like, pretty much, although the paint is different. Moving down the outer shoulder sections, as you can see, on the 42 is sort of a red under, and then a gold and silver on the outer pad. Whereas if I move across to the 43, you see this time it's gold underneath with a solid red outer section of the pad. The shoulder, the inner shoulder, so I'm talking there and there, compared to the red on that and that. Then moving away, you have sort of the flipped reverse on the chest section. So we're talking a red surround on a pretty solid gold front with some silver highlights, as you can see, or accents, whatever you want to say. I'll just point out the arc reactor design on this one. Whereas if we move straight across, you see it is sort of the gold surround here with a solid red. This time a slightly different design on the arc reactor, but still has the gold and silver accents on that. The arms are pretty much like for like, so I'm talking red on the outer sections, gold on the inner. But then moving down into the elbow, you see the 42 has the silver inner section, where the 43 has the red section. Same forearm, it is same, pretty much a mixture of red and gold. But then as you move down to the gauntlet or the outer hand pad, the 42's is gold, where the 43's is red. Same with the hand, The 43 has a solid red hand, whereas the 42's is sort of a mainly red hand, but then the thumb and the index finger are gold. So going back to the body or the torso, we're looking at red on the outer side with gold coming down the middle, silver accents. This one is the opposite. So gold on the outer section, red down the middle, still with a silver accent. Moving into the pelvis, again you see it's just a swap for the red to the gold, or the gold to the red should I say. And then on the leg, on the upper part, pretty solid gold on the 42 with the red sections, and then the whole outer section of the leg on the 43 is red, as you see. Moving down, same again, just sort of the knee pad is red with the gold, but then going down to a lower red leg and red foot, with a 42 is gold into a red foot. So like I said, pretty much gone down, showed you the main differences. I think, and I stated this in the review, the red is more iconic, definitely. It is the most nostalgic looking. It sort of harkens back to the Iron Man that we would know from the comics. Both represent the films really well, because obviously in Iron Man 3 this were the main suit, the 42, and then like I say, it's just a reversal. I don't know if the capabilities are different. I think the forearm weapons might be different, but all in all it is pretty much just a straight swap from the gold into the red. Right, other things of note, and I will put a short pause in here. And these are key things mainly to do with the articulation changes. As you see, the 42 has got his head tipped as far to his left as he can, and it's hardly anything. If I look at the 43, that's tipped as far to his right as he can, and it's a lot better. The neck peg is around the same size, so I would think the heads are interchangeable, but I'll test that in a minute. But how the ball joint works on the 43, it is an improvement over the 42, that is definite. Another improvement is how the pelvis collapses. So if I look at the 42, it's just a frontal section, that's it closed, that's it open. It just pushes out of the way so the leg can kick forward quite extremely. On this one, it's broke into two sections, so you have a section that comes up and forward, and that one that goes to the side and up. So that would be it closed, and that would be it open, which really does improve how the legs move on this one. I will say, and I'm not going to demonstrate it because it's going to be a nightmare with two figures, they both do have the fall-in undercarriage section. So there's a button on the back of the pelvis which you press, and the lower section drops away, which brings the leg pegs down, which again makes the posing more extreme. Same again, you press the button on the back, the undercarriage falls down, which brings the leg pegs down to about here and does pose more extremely. Definitely 43 is better articulation, but 42 is better than any other Iron Man I've seen. So it's just a case that 42 were awesome and 43 has just gone a tiny step further, and that is fact. And moving away from the figure for a second, we'll have a look at the diorama bases that each brings. So we'll start off with the Mk42. Both use the clamp, like the dynamic flying style clamp, moving down a metal pole which doesn't bend, so it is just upright, but because of the weight of the figures you would need it to be metal to support the weight. Moving down, this is pretty much your all of armour base, or so it's known as, with a chrome faceplate, and as you see, the lit up section, there's a battery unit underneath for sure with a switch on the right hand side there. So that is lit up, although I have got the cabinet lights on and the bedroom lights on, it does look quite nice. So yeah, nice touch. Moving across to the 43 base, they've gone for the 1/4 scale Batman style base, and I think the endoskeleton one. Different sort of setup, but it is that size. Looking again with the chrome faceplate, nameplate. Moving up to the rockery style design, and then the battlefield scene, again going up into a metal stand with the flight pole clamp. Both good. I wouldn't say which I prefer, because I think they are both good. None of them came like with a basic generic stand. They black oval stand, and both did go that extra mile, so to speak, to give us a decent stand. I think the fact that this one lights up and this one doesn't, and probably could, I suppose that goes in this one's favour. If the Ultron figure sort of plugged into the base and then the eyes on the Ultron that you get with the display, if that would have lit up, that would have been really cool, but there's no light up feature on the 43 version. So like I said, both are good, and I wouldn't like to say which I really prefer. Getting back to the figures, and another subtle difference, if you look at the neck peg on the 42, it pretty much only moves forward and back a slight amount. Obviously the head fits on there, and I've just tried it, it will fit any of the head sculpts from either figure, because that section is the same size as that. Now the difference is on this one, it's on a lower ball joint as well, so it moves a lot more freely, so bear that in mind. That's why the articulation is better on the 43's neck. So moving down, let's talk head sculpts. As you see, the 2 on the left are to the 42, the 3 on the right are to the 43. Bearing in mind this is the special edition 43, so it brings the infected head, and I will show that in a minute. So what do we get with the 42? You pretty much get a crisp and clean, absolutely no battle damage version of the head. Inside that is the light up head. So obviously you put your batteries inside and you can light it up, so it looks good. Obviously all the face plates are interchangeable, so you could have the dirty mask on the light up head and so on and so forth. Look at that. What I will say on this is, sometimes I like the clean sculpt on the more battle damaged head. But what happens is, because of how battle damaged it is, it's a really nice touch as you can see, but what happens is the paint is slightly different. So if you're looking at the upper part of the mat, you see how the lower jaw, you can see how the paint scheme changes. So there is that with the 42. Like I said, you do get the really clean one, and then you do get the battle damaged one. I'll talk the Tony Stark sculpt shortly. Moving across to the 43 heads, they are all battle damaged to a slight degree. So you've got this one, which inside Tony Stark, this one which is just as battle damaged but is the normal light up head, and then this one which is what they call the infected head, which again lights up, but this time has the red lens, so the eyes light up red, as you can see. So as I move away, you have got a choice of all 5 heads could fit on either figure. Before I put an head on, to prove that, what I'll do is I'll show you that the difference in the Tony Starks. The 42s, first thing you notice, it is cut. He does have a cut under his left eye, right side of his forehead and across his nose. Really good. Does look slightly up and to the left. The 43s look straight on and he's totally clean. Both sculpts are as good as each other. Pretty much is the same sculpt if I'm honest. But like I said, then the paintwork is outstanding on both. So yeah, I don't know which I prefer. The ironic thing is the 43 is slightly scuffed up, so would probably suit that head better, where the 42 is really clean and would suit that head better. So if you had both, you can mix and match and get the optimum look, but they sort of crossed it over and put the different sculpts with a suit that don't really go with. So there is that. But I will prove that each sculpt will go on the opposite figure by putting the Tony Stark head on the opposite one. So there you go. That's the 42 head and face mask on the 43 body, and that's the 43 head and face plate on the 42's body. So again, just complement each other really well. So I think what I'll do is I'll push the figures to the back and show you what came in the complete set. Before I do that, what I want to show is, and this is mainly for Carl's benefit because he did ask me, I can't do a full demonstration because I haven't got any more clay at the moment, so I can't fully show it, but I can describe what I did. Anybody who's familiar with my channel for a while realised I'd got that sculpt on this body for a while and it stayed on, whereas at the moment it won't. Now, this is a sculpt sort of probably 2 years old now, so it is showing its age. It was pretty much a replica of the Mark IV head sculpt, but then with the Iron Man 3 style air. It's now been superseded a few times and is nowhere near the best. The best Robert Downey head sculpt is the one that came with the Iron Man Mark II workshop version with a shield and where he's making the arc reactor. Now, if you do buy a third-party copy of that head, it's going to come pretty much like that. So it's not going to have the neck section, it's going to have an hollowed out head like that. Now what I did is, I got some, it's called Sculpty Clay, which is really good because you can sculpt with it. You've just got to warm it up and it'll set and go rock hard. Now what I did, just as a make do, so I could just use this head on that figure, what I did is, you see, just get the clay, soft in your hand, push it in and pack it right into the head so it's sort of level with the airline. And then while it's soft, I just pushed the soft clay down and put it into position of how I would want the head to sit. So it sat something like that. Obviously, just make sure the hole fits nice and snug, pull it upwards straight away, and then what you're left with is the hole that has left. You can take an hairdryer to the sculpty clay on quite a warm setting and just blow dry it for probably 5 minutes, and that clay inside the head will go rock hard, but the hole will still be intact. So it's a matter that you can just pop it on and off. Obviously it don't fit as flush as if it were made for the figure, but it will go on and it will stay on. Now, if you wanted to do that with your head, Carl, that's as easy as it is. It's just a matter of popping it on, fitting it to that hole, and then heating it up with an hairdryer till the clay goes hard, and it will always fit on there. The downside, and this is worth a mention, I left the clay soft on mine because I thought, I don't know if I'm going to keep it on there for any length of time, but it looks all right for now, so to speak, until I get a better sculpt is what I thought. Now, when I popped it off, you can see sort of the back section of the neck, there and there, something in the clay, I sort of removed the top coat. So you can see how it's really flat looking red now there and there. So bear in mind, if you do what I did with your head sculpt and put it onto that neck, around wherever the clay is touching, the connected section of that neck, it's gonna soak away the top coat of that. It is easy to do and it would give a good look, but definitely think twice before doing that. So that is how I did it. It's really easy to do, but be sure that you want to do it before you do. So I'll move back on to the Mark 42 and 43 comparison. Right, so now I think what we'll do is loosely talk about the accessories and extras that both brought, and also then into value, just to tell you what my thoughts are totally. Right, so obviously you see the figure. I've already spoke about the bases. Both bring good bases. Both bring instruction manuals and a set of batteries and a screwdriver. As you see, I've put mine in, but I've left Carl's alone. Didn't want to do them. So they both bring that. And then as we move away, your dividing line is there. So everything that side is for the 42, everything that side is for the 43. Bear in mind, I can't stress this enough, this is the special version that wouldn't normally come. So let's go through. We'll start on the 42. We'll go in chronological order. Right, the 42 obviously brought battle damage shoulder pads, upper arm, battle damage chest piece, battle damage head sculpt and faceplate, and then it brought the articulated hands, which are on, with a clean set of wrist guards. It brought a dirty set of wrist guards, fists, repulsor blasts, and then a clean set of wrist guards for them hands and a dirty set or battle damage set of those. It also brought 3 forearm sections, so you've got the right arm with the rocket, you have the right arm with the battle damage, and the left forearm with the battle damage. Moving on to the 42, you get the Ultron, or the Ultron bot, or whatever you want to call it. The upper body section, It is 3-piece. It's the arm connected into the upper body and then connected onto the head. Slight articulation and is a nice touch on the display when you've got it on there. The infected head with removable faceplate. The clean Tony Stark with the faceplate. A clean looking right rocket forearm, and then obviously you have fists, articulated hands, repulsor blast hands, then the wrist guards for the repulsors and the wrist guards for the standard shaped hands. So obviously the 42 brings more, no doubt in it. It's pretty much what they're saying to you is you both got a base, which is good, but on the 43 you're pretty much swapping the Ultron for the battle damage sections. Now, me personally, and I know this might not count for everybody, I would sooner have the more interchangeable parts, because I think it sort of extends your pose options. It gives you two different looking Ironmans when you change them out. To anybody who wouldn't know, one day you might think you got a completely clean one, the next day they come, you've got a completely battle damage one. With the 43, you haven't really got that. You could have him holding parts of the Ultron, obviously, but there's nothing really to change on him. So for me, and I know it might just be me, on extras I would favour the 42. Now, this is another category, moving on to value, where I massively favour the 42. When I got the 42, was in the region of 250. I've spoke to Carl. I'm just going to sell loose price. I'm not telling you exactly what who's paid. The 43 for the special edition is just short of £100 more. Now, I don't personally think that it's that much better in the sense of articulation or colour scheme change. I don't think it's worth £80, £90, £100 more than that. But that's just me. Bear in mind as well, the regular version, which this isn't, would probably, you could probably knock about £50 off, £40 off, that sort of figure, which would bring it closer, but it would still make it a lot more expensive than the 42. So that is the falling point for me. When I knew this were coming, there would have been a chance I could have got, in fact, I could have got it. There's no fucking doubt about it. I don't miss out that I want to get. I thought, no. I thought, it's not worth me selling a 42 to have to then still put nearly £100 towards to get a 43. It's not that much better of a figure. And I've seen it and I do agree with that. It might have scored more, but I do think definitely bang for buck, definitely goes to 42. But 43 does look awesome. If both came in and cost £200 each, then I think, then I would, the deciding factor would be the colour scheme, and then I would go from 42 to 43. Or I would wait and see 45 and then maybe go from 42 to 45 and miss 43 out. That is possibly what I would do. But like I said, not much more I can add. Thanks to Carl for sending it me, like I've said. Thanks to you guys for watching. I hope I've made my points clear. I'm not trying to boost one figure by killing another. I haven't done that. I've tried to show you everything fairly. I just want you to know that, and I see it happening. I've seen a, I think I've seen a 42 for about 190 on my Facebook group over the last couple of days. And I think if you're selling that for 190 to buy this version for like 300, 320, 330, I'm thinking it's a lot of money to put towards for a figure that's only a tiny bit better. So that is my thoughts. But for now, it's a Clipper King, Mark 42 and Mark 43, and we are out of here.